All right, I need you to take beans apart. I need you to look at all the different parts that you find. Make 3 piles of all the different kind of parts you find. Or however many piles you need. So what you finding in there?
I'm only finding 2. The skin and the bean on the inside.
Keep looking.
I'm finding like this, what went on to the skin.
What is that little thing?
On the back part of the...
Oh, see if the others have that. Keep looking.
Mine doesn't.
Are they supposed to have, can you see the little veins maybe?
Just keep looking. What do you see in there? Kind of divide them up by the pieces that you see. If you compare with your group, what are you finding?
Anybody?
So what are y'all finding?
I found a little bean.
A little bean?
Or whatever that is.
Show your group. What have you got,
I
Audrey?
don't know what that is.
Look at what she found. It looks like a little white comma. Okay. What
It
is
was just
that
on the
thing?
top. It was just on the top right there.
So what is that little thing? Where'd it go? There it is.
It's right here.
Right there.
Does it help it grow?
I found it.
I don't know. Do you have them in your bean?
I do.
Oh. Do all the beans have one of those things in them?
I guess so.
So what parts are you finding? What have you got? It looks like a stem.
part that's going to be growing is pretty much like the life of it.
You think? So what does it turn into?
It's going to turn into the plant.
Well, why do we have all that other stuff?
This is like the outer covering. It'll break off as it's getting bigger.
What are those big things?
These are the outer cover of it to help protect the seeds.
So what are those big things for?
You
You got a whole pile of them. What do you think?
I don't know.
And you got all that stuff.
I mean, maybe it's the protection of it.
I got juice.
So most of the bean is for protection.
I mean, the skin might be for protection of the bean.
So the outside's for protection. So that's the seed. What's everything else? I thought the whole thing was a seed.
This is the outer shell.
I think like
So
this
it's got an outer thing.
I think that's the seed, and then maybe like this is like nutrients it feeds off of.
You think? Talk with your group. See what you come up with. Okay. Let's do some talk in a minute. Okay, guys, I'm losing out to beans, which is okay. If you haven't torn them all apart, let's stop tearing apart for a minute. Okay. Pull me up the outer covering. Is there a purpose for everything in that bean?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have a clue what the outside is for? Oh, for protection.
Cell wall kind of in a cell. It like protects it.
It keeps things in and it keeps things out, right? Okay, does anybody know? It sounds like what you wear in the winter to keep yourself warm. Okay, so the outside is called the seed coat, which is for protection, just like you wear a coat for protection. Now, pull up those 2 big hunky things that everybody kept pulling out. Were there 1 in each bean or 2 in each bean? Wait a minute. Were they kind of stuck together but they fall apart?
Yes.
Okay. You're going to be learning a word in a couple of days. 2 words, monocot and dicot. What does the prefix mono mean?
1.
What does the prefix di mean? 2.
So this is a dicot.
Okay, check it out, Alex. What'd you just say?
It's a dicot.
How do you know it's a dicot?
Because it has 2.
It has 2 of those things. We don't know what the things are for sure, but we know it has 2. Over here, group 6, you had a theory. What's your theory on what those big things are?
They're like the nutrients that the little comma-looking thing, the seed, feeds off of.
So you're telling me the seed brings its own lunch?
Basically, it's where it keeps all the nutrients it needs in order to survive. If it doesn't have all the nutrients it needs, it's not going to be able to
Because
grow.
it doesn't even have sunlight.
Okay, it doesn't have sunlight yet, so it can't do what process? It can't do photosynthesis yet because it doesn't have anything exposed to the sun. So until it's grown up enough to do photosynthesis, they're right. Where does it get its nutrition?
From the bean.
Okay, there's a fancy word for its own little lunch. It's called cotyledon. Can you say the word with me? Cotyledon. Okay, it's a word we're going to have to know later. We're not going to write it down right now. Now, people kept pulling out this weird little comma-shaped thing on the inside. What do you think it is?
Probably like the seed. What makes it plant it, this is what will make it bloom.
Okay, so Natalie says that's what grows.
It's the stem. It's the stem. It's the root.
It's like a blue
Is that what's it's gonna turn into the what?
The plant.
What parts?
The stem.
The stem, the roots, and eventually leaves are going to grow out of that tiny little part? Okay. Okay, what do you call a living thing that's not ready to live on its own, but it has the beginnings called, I need you to leave, please. Just step out the door, please. It has the beginnings of all the parts that it needed. It starts with an E. E-M.
Embryo.
What'd you say?
Embryo.
Embryo. What is an embryo?
It's the outer
Pretty
covering.
much is this.
The embryo is the little tiny thing that looks like a comma, and it's going to turn into the whole plant. An embryo is an organism that hasn't developed yet, but it has all the parts it needs to grow up. Were you ever an embryo?
Yes.
Yeah. Before you were born, when you were so tiny, you were probably no bigger than that lima bean. You were an embryo. Did you have all the parts you needed for later? Or at least the beginning of the parts. Okay, how does a lima bean know to grow into a lima bean, not into a corn seed or an oak tree or a kangaroo or something else?
Because it's, I guess, like because it keeps its own parts.
But how does it know?
Because it comes from all your llama plants.
Okay, I'm looking for a big fancy term that we really hadn't talked about yet. How did you know to have curly hair or blue eyes?
Because it's one of those.
Oh, traits, genes. What does that mean?
It means that their DNA.
You inherited it. You got it. Does the embryo get its characteristics from the parent? Okay, who would the parent of a lima bean have been?
The llama plant.
Another lima bean.